Okay, so Laura, thank you for talking to me and the people who will be watching this video. I know that what you've got to say will be very valuable to them. But I thought I'd start with a question which is more of an introduction, just to ask you to talk about your roles now as a partner and director of digital transformation at BBA. But also as your role as the president and CEO of Flow Partners.
Well, thank you, Peter. And first of all, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with you and whomever is going to hear this. So yeah, Flow Partners is a boutique consulting firm, which I started about 10 years ago. Flow Partners specializes in business transformation through lean thinking and practice. And we have a specific focus on the extractive resource sector. So mining and metals, forestry, oil and gas. Recently, this year, 2021, Flow Partners was acquired by BBA, a Canadian engineering firm which has more than 40 years of history in the energy sector, as well as mining and metals. So I am now a partner of BBA, and I'm leading the digital transformation practice from Canada, while at the same time, I also lead BBA's entry into the Latin American market via the Flow Partners established brand and presence in Santiago, Chile, which is where I am today.
Fascinating, and I know that we're going to hear a lot more that will be very interesting too. Could you talk about the mining industry today? Many of the people watching won't be familiar with it, so if you could describe what its main aspects are and what the common challenges are that it's facing today.
Yes, it would be my pleasure, because mining and metals really been my passion throughout my career as an engineer. So love to tell you about it. You know, we commonly say that if it cannot be grown, it must be mined. So it's a way to describe the raw materials that the industry produces. Really, without mining, there would be no supply of metals, minerals, materials that are all critical to practically all industry sectors, and therefore also critical to society, people's well-being, technological development, and so much more. The mining industry of today is heavily mechanized and increasingly more automated than ever before. It's also an industry sector that is very conscious of environmental, social, and governance issues, at least certainly in the developed countries. And just to describe a little bit the value chain of mining and metals in very simplistic terms, it starts with the exploration of mineral resources that are in the ground, followed by extraction of mineralized ores through various mining activities, such as drilling and blasting, loading and hauling material, and then finally the processing of the valuable material through various metallurgical, chemical processes, which depend, of course, on the type of metal being extracted. So gold or precious metals versus base metals, iron, etc. So those are the very simple 3 steps. And the output generated, it could be gold and silver bars. It could be pounds of metal like copper, nickel, aluminum, or tons of iron ore and metallurgical coal for steel making. So all of these are critical elements for industry and modern society. So in a nutshell, that's mining.
Very interesting industry. I saw the output of it. I worked in the aluminum sector for some years, and not in the mining of bauxite for aluminum, but in processing aluminum. So, how are information-based technologies being used in mining today? What are they being used for? And what's the intended impact that they have on the businesses that are using them?
Yeah, so information-based technologies really are being widely applied in all aspects of the mining business, and starting with instrumentation and industrial IT in our operations, collecting, analyzing great amounts of data for monitoring and control of production processes, and ultimately for better decision making. Advanced analytics and artificial intelligence are quickly gaining ground in mining to provide predictive capability of equipment and process performance. Applications of automation and robotics are widely spread, coupled with advanced control systems, simulation, optimization, etc. And the intended impact of all these information-based applications is more efficient and effective production systems, both in but also higher quality processes and products that are responsibly sourced and produced. And the business impact is huge. The mining industry of tomorrow will be relying on digital as much as any other industry sector.
Thank you. And you've been involved in implementing digital transformation in many companies. Can you describe the challenges that companies often face and how you help them overcome those challenges?
Yeah, sure. So, fundamentally for me, people are at the center of the transformation process. So the biggest challenge companies face in tackling a digital program of any size is really getting people to adopt the technology being introduced and helping them to learn a new way of working. So my focus really for the past 15 years has been on developing capability in organizations for collaborative problem solving, because I believe at the root of it all is the ability to leverage human ingenuity coupled with reliable information for better decision making. So the cognitive capability of humans, I think, is best harnessed through a collaborative and creative process where people with diverse backgrounds, skill sets, gender, culture are brought together to focus on solving problems. And the scientific method provides the structure of the problem-solving process, but it is people who power the solutions. Technology is only a tool. So the challenge really lies in understanding the fundamentals of transformation before launching an ambitious digital program. So that's really what I've learned with years of experience in this type of work.
Great. So people are very important. Could you talk about an example of a digital transformation project that you were involved in, what it involved, and the impact that it had on the organization?
Yeah, so for me, a powerful example would be the development and implementation of an integrated remote operations center. We call these IROC, which is definitely a digital transformation trend in our industry, especially as a result of the pandemic and this whole shift toward more telework. So the establishment of an integrated control room that is remotely located from the physical operations, sometimes thousands of kilometers away, is an ambitious endeavor for any size company. So from a technological standpoint, it requires a detailed, data-driven understanding of the production system that is being monitored and controlled through reliable and available systems that in turn depend on robust telecommunications and a network infrastructure. From a process perspective, it requires integration of the value stream from the ore body to the finished product. It requires cross-functional metrics to measure the performance of the end-to-end system, not only in terms of productivity and cost, as I said earlier, but also quality, time, and sustainability metrics, which are really important nowadays, such as health and safety, being always number one, environmental and social impact, water usage, energy intensity, and greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so technology and process. But last and not least, though, it requires an organization that is prepared for operating in an integrated environment where there are no functional silos and people have the capability to identify correctly and solve problems together collaboratively. So these three elements have to work together, and this is really the nature of our work. The overall impact of such an integrated business model and the physical manifestation of working in this fashion in an IROC has tremendous business benefits for the company and the organization. As well, it can have huge positive impact on society and the environment where the company operates.
You particularly emphasized the integrated aspect of transformation, and particularly with that, the measurement and metrics that were applied to understand the impact of that integrated approach. So very valuable, I think, for people to to understand and think carefully about that. Thank you. What is the role that engineers are playing in digital transformation in the companies that you've worked with? So, are there areas that engineers should focus on in their own personal development that will increase their ability to contribute to digital transformation?
Yeah, I think engineers have a big role to play, absolutely. My number one recommendation would be to really develop interdisciplinary technical knowledge coupled with continuous improvement skills. So, as I said earlier, Lean, for example, is a social technical system which applies a scientific method of problem solving. So the Deming cycle, plan, do, check, act that we're all familiar with specific technical tools, while at the same time deliberately developing people capability to work collaboratively. So specialized technical knowledge alone is not enough to solve today and tomorrow's complex problems. We must learn to apply synthesis as well as analysis and working across disciplines and cultures. These are the skill sets that the engineers of the future I think should really be focusing on acquiring in their education path, but also extracurricular activities.
Yeah, this is something that we've emphasized in engineering education for a while, but I think the emphasis that it needs now is perhaps even greater than we've thought before. In the importance that it has as part of the role of the engineer.
Absolutely, it's increasingly more important.
Thank you, and very important, I think, to emphasize that. Okay, so how effectively, with that in mind, how effectively are engineering schools preparing engineers for digital transformation? Are there things you think we should be doing differently?
For me, along the same line of thinking, I really would encourage engineering schools to prepare new generations of problem solvers, to think laterally as well as functionally, to integrate and blend technical knowledge from a variety of scientific and social domains, seemingly disparate, but I think converging in some areas. So even though we're talking about digital, I think that these cross multidisciplinary skill sets really help people to understand the real issues. So, I'm a big Deming fan. So Edwards Deming taught us that profound knowledge comes from outside of the system, meaning that new understanding is achieved by inviting other perspectives and exploring what lies at the edge of our own knowledge domain. So we got to push the boundaries and get out of our comfort zone and get out there at the edge.
Absolutely, and I should say I share your enthusiasm for Deming. I learned about him many years ago, and I've continued to be enthusiastic about him since, as his approach, I think, is extremely important. Okay, so my next question is continuing on the role of engineers. To what extent do you feel they're contributing at a senior level in organizations to digital transformation today? And the reason I ask that question is that the decisions that organizations are making about digital transformation, we would think should include the technical knowledge that engineers can bring. But do you feel they're able to contribute at that senior level effectively today, and are they doing it?
Oh yeah, there are plenty of engineers in senior positions in mining companies, especially those related to operations, but also, as you say, innovation, technology, and digital transformation. More than ever, organizations need leadership that brings a holistic view of the business. So to be able to tackle the great challenges industry face today, with both a technical understanding as well as a social perspective, as we apply technology, I mean, these are really the great leaders that we need, right? Those that are able to span both worlds. And I think engineers are well suited to do that, as long as they also develop an emotional intelligence and so forth that is required to comprehend and address the whole, the big picture. So I myself, as an engineer, I've had senior leadership positions in companies, and we are well prepared for that. Learned a lot by going in and out of industry, and as I said, exploring what's at the end, get more profound knowledge from outside of the system in which I'm in.
Very important. So you integrate a lean approach with digital transformation, which I also think is very important. But is it important that there be a consistent operating system approach, a lean approach, or perhaps another approach if an organization chose that, adopted in the selection of technologies and their application in a digital environment or in a digital transformation? What I'm getting at here is, does there need to be consistency of technology application with the operating system model that an organization might have?
Absolutely. And this is really an interesting question and the foundation a lot of my work. I take a lean approach, as I described earlier, right? This social technical system to everything I do. And lean thinking and practice really provide a systemic view of the business, end to end. It teaches us to recognize where value is created and where it is destroyed through various types of waste. The analysis of the performance of the system itself is based on data, facts, and that's where digital technologies provide the backbone infrastructure for understanding the current state, and upon which we project a target future state. The gap between current and future, well, that's the problem we wish to solve, the gap we want to close. Lean also provides the means to transform and generate a sustainable, continuous learning environment, right, through the PDCA cycle where people and teams are leveraging digital technologies as data sources and tools for analysis and understanding, all within a management system, as you say. That's really important to have a cohesive, a coherent system that helps us to govern our decision making, that helps us to understand where we should put our focus, which problems to solve, and solving the right problem at the right level. So really, in my opinion, lean and digital are highly complementary. At BBA, we're working in the lean digital space, so to speak. We help clients envision their own future operations in terms of a collaborative business model and problem-solving environment that is people-centric, first and foremost, digitally enabled, circular or sustainable by design, lean, of course, effective and efficient, and lastly, very importantly, financially viable. It has to make business sense. But we're very excited to work in this holistic way toward making our industry better for everyone's benefit.
A very good thing. I just have one final question, and it is any final words of advice for engineers who are watching this video as they consider the impact that digital transformation will have on their career and how they should best manage that?
Last words of wisdom, or famous last words. Well, for me, I mean, always expand your thinking beyond what you're being taught in school, whichever discipline it is you're studying. Seek out diverse experiences, either through your work terms, internships, but even conferences, networks, and educate yourself about the ESG drivers, environment, social governance drivers that are really reshaping every industry sector. So at the end, you know, please consider also a career in the mining and metals industry. I know it's probably not the most attractive in general, but there is incredible opportunity in mining and metals, regardless of your engineering background. This is an industry that is crucial to our future society, as a modern society, in technology development and so forth. So lots of opportunities ahead for the new generation of engineers, and I'm looking forward to meeting them in my work and my travels. Feel free to reach out if you want more information about mining and metals, or about BBA, of course, and hopefully you have a wonderful career ahead of you.
Thank you, Laura. I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that, you know, one of the things that people will take as they watch this video is the extent of the change which is taking place in mining, and the opportunities and excitement that come from that for engineers, you know, to be part of the changes which are being made on a very big scale in the mining industry is I think something that, you know, if I were a young engineer today, it's something I would find very appealing as well. So thank you, Laura, for sharing, you know, your thoughts about this and your knowledge. I think it's going to be very valuable to the people watching.
Well, hopefully I provided some insight of value, and you know, mining is such an important industry sector for Canada. So we need all the talent of the future generations to make it better, more sustainable, and just overall a really good experience.
Thank you.